Thank you, Mr. Chairman. At the outset, I'd like to say I understand that in my absence, Senator Schumer very kindly gave a lecture on civility and encouraged me not to go over the top, while he then, in the same breath, accused me of supporting child pornography. So I appreciate that demonstration in senatorial restraint from the senior senator from New York. Let me say to the members of this panel, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Let me in particular welcome Floyd Abrams. Mr. Abrams, you have been a lion of the First Amendment.
Thank you.
And I have admired your career pretty much all my life. The passion with which you have defended the First Amendment against assaults from members of your own party and pretty much anyone else. So I appreciate your being here. I do wish there were Democratic senators willing to defend the First Amendment. In our history, Democrats have been willing to do that, and we are in a strange point in time when Democrats abandon the First Amendment and indeed propose repealing it. I want to address three canards that are put forth in support of this constitutional amendment. Number one, this is all about nefarious billionaires. You know, it's interesting. If you look at the Open Secrets website, which I would note is a nonpartisan group, the top 16 donors to campaigns from 1989 to 2014, 100% of them support predominantly Democrats or are on the fence. The top 3 donors are Act Blue, which has spent over $102 million, the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, which has spent over $61 million, and the National Education Association, which has spent over $58 million. Those are the top 3. Koch Industries, who we've heard so much about, they're number 59. You know, there's a pattern in politics where when government's trying to take the liberty of the citizens away, they try to distract them with shiny objects. So we've seen the majority leader repeatedly slandering 2 private citizens, the Koch brothers, on the floor of the Senate. There's a rule in the Senate that when one senator attacks and impugns the character of another senator, you can rise on a point of personal privilege. And I would note, there is unfortunately no rule in the Senate that allows a private citizen whose name's being dragged through the mud by the majority leader of the Senate for partisan political purposes to rise on that same point of personal privilege. The second canard that's put forth is money is not speech. That's been repeated over and over again in this hearing. I would note any first-year law student who put that as his or her answer on an exam would receive an F, because it is obviously, demonstrably false, and it has been false from the dawn of the Republic. Speech is not just standing on a soapbox, screaming on the sidewalk. From the beginning of the Republic, the expenditure of money has been integral to speech. The Supreme Court has said that pamphlets, the Federalist Papers, and Thomas Paine's Common Sense took money to print and distribute, putting up yard signs, putting up bumper stickers, putting up billboards, launching a website. Every one of those requires the expenditures of money. I guarantee you, every person in this room, if you think about it, disagrees with the proposition that expending money is not speech. Publishing a book is speech. Publishing a movie is speech. Blogging is speech. Every form of effective speech in our modern society requires the expenditure of money from citizens. The third canard is that corporations have no rights. That gets repeated an awful lot. Again, you'd get an F in law school if you embrace that position. The New York Times is a corporation. CBS is a corporation. Paramount Pictures and Simon & Schuster are corporations. The Sierra Club is a corporation. The NRA is a corporation. The NAACP is a corporation. La Raza is a corporation. None of the people who say corporations have no rights would possibly suggest that, well, Congress can then prevent the NAACP from speaking, can prevent La Raza from speaking, can muzzle the New York Times. That position is obviously false. Nobody has disagreed with the litany of harms that could occur if Congress passed this bill. The ability to muzzle citizens, to muzzle labor unions from organizing, because that's an in-kind expenditure. The ability to silence bloggers. Now, I have today introduced 2 amendments to protect the free speech rights of Americans. The first is entitled the Super PAC Elimination Act of 2014. What this bill will do is, number one, eliminate campaign limits on individual contributions to federal candidates. Right now, the current system we have is stupid. You've got super PAC spending on the side out of the control of campaigns, and it's grown because Congress has attempted to regulate and silence speech. The bill I've introduced would eliminate the individual contribution limits and provide immediate disclosure within 24 hours of any contribution made to a federal candidate. What that would do as a practical matter is make it all transparent and make super PACs irrelevant. A number of states have systems like this, and it works quite well. The second bill that I've introduced today is the Free Speech for All Act. We've heard over and over again, corporations are not people. What this bill says is very simple. Any restrictions on the rights, the free speech rights of citizens shall apply with equal force to media corporations like the New York Times, CBS, ABC, and NBC. That's provision 1. And provision 2 simply says, to the extent any restriction is found unconstitutional as applied to that media corporation, it shall also be deemed invalid as applied to an individual citizen. So if everyone who's arguing corporations are not people, I hope and expect all the Democrats to happily co-sponsor this bill, because it says an individual citizen is at a minimum entitled to the same First Amendment protection that we give to these giant media corporations. It's free speech for all. We should be defending the Bill of Rights, not debating, amending, and repealing the free speech protections of the Bill of Rights. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. I'll recognize